Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian Farmers Tropic Trade Group, and this is your market recap for Wednesday, March 19th. Happy Fed Day to those who celebrate. Haha. Kidding. Yes, we did. Today was a Fed Day, and Mr. Powell spoke today. I think he came out and saw his shadow, so that means two more rate cuts. So I'm just kidding. Again, too many jokes today. So there wasn't any change as expected in the interest rate today. By the way, risk disclaimer in front of you, everything that we're going through is for information purposes, not giving any advice or recommendations. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes. Yeah, so no change in the interest rates today, which was widely expected. There was no chance of that today. And I don't know if we really learned anything new. And I think that was the kind of concern for this Fed meeting, is that it's too early to say for tariffs. It sounds like Powell was cautionary about what tariffs will do in terms of inflation, and didn't really give too much else, like in terms of in terms of what they're seeing. It was more of a wait and see approach. They said that they're in no rush to do anything. The market got hooked on this a little bit, that runoff in the balance sheet. They're cutting back on that, so maybe a little bit more dovish in terms of not as much tightening. Like, people heard that and went crazy. But I think that this market was kind of revealing itself early on in the day. And after all, we are in a strong seasonal period, right? We know that comes into play at this point. We also have quadruple witching on Friday. So there's a lot of market mechanics. So I think that this market just kind of gave a signal early on in the day that it wanted to rally today, regardless of Powell. And I think probably the market figuring that Powell wasn't going to say anything, anything groundbreaking. So let's break it down a little bit. So that's what happened with the Fed. Before I get rid of the Fed speech here, Fed talk, is there any change? Now that line is gone, in terms of May, the next Fed meeting won't be till May 7th. So you get a little bit of a break in the action in terms of that. Of course, you'll be hearing from multiple Fed speakers once they come out of their quiet period, but that's May 7th, and the following meeting will be June 16th. They're anticipating only a 21% chance of a rate cut. So the market didn't really move. I think it was 18% earlier. It was actually much higher about a week ago. The market was implying almost a 40% chance at a rate cut about a week ago, for the not for today, but for the May meeting. So I think what Powell also said was that they want to cut for the rest of this year 50 basis points. Where that lands, we don't know, but so that is a little bit dovish. So again, a little bit of a wait and see there. So what's going on in terms of the market? What did well today? Well, it was a bit more of a risk on day today, and this was another strong growth day today. I think that the up volume ended up somewhere around 80%. Let me double. It was a little shy of that. It was up volume was up 74% today. So that's pretty good. And you could see that, you don't need that number from me. You could kind of see on the left of your screen, how many groups went up today after the open. Remember, we kind of started somewhere around flat today. And most of the gains were over the session today. Small caps actually led today, up 1.6%. I'll review all these charts in just a minute. Micro caps also did well. Q's no slouch, up 1.3%, and SPY up 1.1%. So better price action. Yesterday I thought, just going back to my video from yesterday, this is a kind of just a frustrating day, and the market will do that. The market will try to wear you out a little bit. Remember, we went down yesterday, and in the first hour, and then did nothing for the rest of the day. So that was not the best price action. Today was better. And I think you just kind of have to take it one day at a time, and look for areas of the market that are showing some nice strength and some nice setups. And I'm going to review a couple of those with you today. Cryptos were also interesting because those were basically strong all day today. They started up and they kind of kept going up, and Bitcoin put in a good day today. You can see that stark green over here, up 3.9%. Also, Ethereum had a nice day today too. But as I said, growth stocks did very well. VUG, the growth ETF, was at 1.5% today, and value up 0.6 of a percentage point. A little bit of strength today. Here was the Mag 7 names. Tesla finally had a big bounce day. Netflix was up again today. Apple was a little bit all over the place, finished up 1.2%, Google up 2. So, perhaps everybody getting too, including myself, getting too negative on this group. Again, I have nothing against these companies. I think that most of them are great companies. My thought is just that the growth, I think it will be tough for them to continue to grow at the clip that they've been growing. Doesn't mean that they can't balance, and it doesn't mean that they can't have good days from time to time. Today was one of those good days. In terms of other areas that did well, we mentioned crypto stocks did well. The financials have been looking better as well, and energy stocks, I have to say, look really good. I want to detail a couple of those, but just a very good participation day where you had software names up 1.5% today too. So finally, tech got into the mix. XAR, which is your aerospace and defense, up nicely today, up 2.3%. Boeing had a nice day today, and uranium stocks were up nicely as well. So that's a quick rundown. Let's go through the technicals. I just wanted to bring up Nvidia too, and I left this on the screen too first, just to kind of go over this because again. Our job as traders and investors is to monitor for change. And, I look at so many different charts a day. You might do the same thing. And it's a lot of process of elimination. You go over things and you monitor things and say, hey, I'm waiting for a change to take place. And if it doesn't look great to you, then you just move on to the next one. I don't think that this chart looks great to me. It's nice that it didn't break down. Nvidia was down 3.4% yesterday. Today it was up 1.8%, and really not taking back any technical ground. It's still outside of it's still below the value area for the year. Excuse me, for the month of March, and still below all these moving averages as well. So while we kind of look at this and say, hey, maybe this is not the greatest place to be right now, are there other places to be? And I think what I'm finding is very interesting is what's going on with copper. Copper's up 2.1%. Again, this is not new. Of course I'm going to talk about copper because it had a big update today and moved higher, but I've been talking about copper now for a couple weeks, and been talking about. I've had FCX in my note, my midday note twice. I mentioned it on Friday because we saw some very big call positioning in it, and we'll also go over SCCO. But again, this is not the easiest chart to deal with, but it is moving up. It's still below its 200-day moving average. It's still below the value area for the year, but I think that this could possibly rally up to the bottom of the value area. SCCO, which doesn't get as much option activity, has been doing a bit better. Still has to get through. Now you got to test at its 200-day moving average. But again, notice it's in value for the year. So there's a couple two standouts to me. We know gold has been acting really well. Gold made another new high today, and very strong. Continues to break out to the upside. A little extended at this point, probably due for some type of a check back. But gold has been very strong. Let's talk about the overall indices. Still, this is still, I think, challenged a bit. It's nice to see price is staying above its value area for the year for now, right? And again, this is on the weekly chart that you could see the value area for, this is what it really looks like in isolation. Again, we don't have a full candle yet, but that level is not going to change. It's 561.37. That's the main thing that I'm watching in terms of, and using volume at price to give me that level in the MarketWebs indicator, which you couldn't go. Somebody asked me, I forgot to answer to them, but I'm on Twitter. You can go to my pinned tweet on Twitter. So I will bring that up for you just so that you could see really quickly. All right, so you could see right here that my pinned tweet, right? Or you could just go to marketwebs.com, right? Marketwebs.com, and you could get the explanation of that. There's a free trial for that too if you're interested in that. If you haven't used that before. So SPY above the value area for the year. It's also above this 5-period moving average, right? So it's got to hold that. And but that's the second time we've hit the 200-day moving average. Well, close the other day, but today I think we officially tagged that 200-day moving average, and price didn't want to get over that for now. So we're in the middle of this, right? We're holding above the breakdown point, which is good, just barely above that 5-period moving average, but not really taking any major ground taking back any major ground to the upside. I'm going to give you one more level here to watch too. And that's something that I believe I tweeted out earlier. But for the rest of the week, watch 562.90. We want to see price stay above that. We're basically where we were earlier in the earlier in the week. Around and round we go because we had some volatility yesterday. But let's see if we can kind of turn the corner here. Possibly for tomorrow. Qs. Also, I'm going to start with the 1 hour valuer so that you could see that too. That levels, it's closer. Also, notice we're not above the week's highs. So a little bit, I've been talking about this a lot, that I think the Qs are showing some relative weakness, not strength. And I don't think it's, I'm going to go out on a limb here as we're almost done with, we're getting closer to the end of the first quarter, but I don't think it's the year of the Qs. I think that, and that's what the market is telling me right now. I can change that opinion, and I'm entitled to do so because we're traders and we're supposed to change our opinions when we get new information. But for now, I don't think that this is the year of the Qs. And looking at that NVIDIA chart too kind of reinforces that a little bit too. But watch for 78.72. That's the level there. All right. Daily chart, we'll review this too. Still in the bearish 80% rule. We're still inside the value area for the year. IWM, which has made a nice comeback from the last since Friday, where this got above the 5-period moving average. This is just a bounce and a downtrend for now. So watch what it does here at the 20-day moving average. And this I'm not saying that this can't bounce further. I just know that the trend is down right now, and that tells me a lot about what's going on. So let's go through a couple other charts, but yeah, I mean, does that mean that just if tech isn't, Qs aren't showing leadership, that means that there's nothing going on in this market? That's definitely not the case. And I still think that there's other areas that are very interesting. I want to talk a little bit about energy because XLE, which I still think is a very sideways looking chart and a very tough chart. So I don't think that right now that if I wanted to go long energy, I don't think I would go long the ETFs. I think you could find some standouts in here. And I talked about Exxon. I tweeted this out earlier in the week, how this is the first time that Exxon has gotten back above its 200-day moving average since back in December. Right, so we've got something nice here, but I'll tell you what I really, and here's the weekly chart too, which I want to show you too, so that you could see how this is developing. It's okay, bullish 80% rule, you got 3.7% till you get to some resistance. I am more of a breakout trader than a range type trader. So I really like what's going on in CBX. I gave this trade idea yesterday in Substack, but this looks different to me. Why does this look different to me? Because so far, and again, the week is not over, but you got a nice full green bar on a break outside of the value area. Also notice the value area is pretty thin, which indicates that this stock might be ready to roll here. I like the fact too, when stocks have consolidated for a couple years. Remember, this stock was in a big uptrend. Zoom out for a minute so you can see the whole picture, right? Nice looking uptrend. Then basically since 2022, the stock has gone sideways, right? And we have seen breakouts by some of the groups or areas that have gone sideways for a long time, right? And I think that this could be ready. Why not? Why not, something like this where it earns a lot of money, right? It just needs some, investors to kind of get involved in it. And, so I'm giving this a try as a breakout here. And I've done this with a couple other trades, over the course of, the last year or so. Deere was one of them too. Notice what happened with Deere for a number of years, right? Same thing going back to 2022. It started, the uptrend stopped here and it started to go sideways, back and forth, sideways. And then all of a sudden last year, it had this real nice, towards the end of last year, it had this breakout, checked all the way back to support, beautiful check back into support, an awfully big check back, but look at it continue to work. I mean, it's been a little bit messy here. You can't chase, up moves here. You got to kind of position into some dips, but this thing is starting to move and has been one of the better stocks this year. So it's important to kind of, even though I swing trade and sometimes I'm in trades for a couple days and I'm out, or a couple weeks, but I also look at the bigger picture too, because I do hold some stocks in a different portfolio. That's the TTG trend portfolio for longer than that. So I really like what's going on there, and I think that that's pretty good. You can look at a few other stocks too, because I think it's multiples. This is Baker Hughes, which also has an upward trajectory to it. Right. So that's what we want. Like, in my opinion, that's one of my things that I said that I want to be, laser focused with now that we've had a correction in the market, depending on what index that you looked at, down 8 to 10% correction. What comes out of that correction? What stands out? We've talked a lot about, names like Berkshire Hathaway and insurance names. There's been select movement in healthcare names. There's been select movements in defense names. RTX, which is a name that's on our weekend watch list. A member brought this name to my attention last week. Look at this thing, is at 52-week highs. So again, it's maybe just a little bit different types of companies. I went long HWN. I talked about how this name really likes the 50-day moving average and bounces. Right, beginning to bounce again. And starting to get some separation back above that 50-day moving average. So there's names out there, but looking outside of tech really helps. And I'm not completely ignoring tech. One name, there's a couple names that I'm watching, and I'm just selective. I'm being more selective in this group. I'm watching CLS. CLS is a good name for me to watch. That name had good earnings, strong earnings. Let's see if it can break above its value area for the week. Level to watch there is 90 to 20. Also RBRK, which I talked a lot about. Again, you're going to find some names I talk about a lot, but I really like how this is just consolidating. Remember, this was a ginormous move on earnings. So let this thing kind of chill out a little bit and regroup a little bit after, I don't know, what did it go up, like 30% last Friday? So sideways, 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 and I started a position with this today. So I think that's it just needs to kind of keep working here and hold in here. Now I know where it's not going to work. If it breaks back below, let's say 69, 68 bucks and outside of its value area, then we know it's more of a fugazi of a move. But for now, it's holding in there, consolidating. I'll leave it there, guys. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.